This is DommyGun inside the Who-Bangin Sports Talk Lab, researching your betting angle of the day. Let's get started.
Hey, we doing, everybody? DommyGun here, Who-Bangin Sports Talk. We're going to do a little college basketball, a little NBA today. And I have my friend, another team Who-Bangin member. We all know this guy. He's on Pub. He's on Who-Bangin. He's a friend of all of ours. Our boy LJ from HTown in the house. What's up, LJ?
What's going on, Dommy? How we doing this morning?
I'm doing good, man. It's been weird weather here in New York, man. It's been in the 50s every day. Last week it went down, it's usually in the 30s. Last week we had a couple days like that, and it's been back up into the 50s. We haven't had a drop of snow. It's been a crazy winter, but thankfully it's been a good one. I didn't need that damn snowblower this year, so I've been happy.
Yeah, I don't see how y'all do it. I would move. I couldn't live.
Hey, you know what it is, man? You get used to everything, right? If you grew up here, you get used to it.
You're right. You're exactly right about this.
We miss the snow sometimes, Like, I was looking forward to at least one. I'm always looking for one big snowstorm a year. I take the grandkids snow sledding and, do all that crap. But it's nice to have a little break, that's for sure. And I knew it was going to be because last year my snowblower crapped out and I had to put a few hundred into it to get it back up into shape. So I knew then it wasn't going to snow.
Okay. Well, yeah.
You know how that goes. But anyhow, how's been your week? We're off an exciting Super Bowl game, and now we're into that time of year where it's starting to get basketball starting to really heat up. NHL is starting to really heat up, and my favorite is right around the corner, and that's Major League Baseball. How about you?
Oh, I did good, man. I had the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, so I cashed on that one. Cashed a couple props as well, so I came out positive. Monday kind of took some money back, a couple games. Hockey, I had a couple overtime losses, so that's kind of took some money. But yesterday, I got it all back. I went 6-0 in hockey yesterday.
Oh wow!
I went 5-2 in NBA yesterday, so I had a great day yesterday.
Good to hear that. And I'm the opposite. On Monday, I had a nice 4-1 college basketball day, and then yesterday was like a 1-3. So
yeah.
And what we just both said is a typical, and that's it, man. It's up and down. It's a long road. The roller coaster is always on the track, man. So, that's what it's all about, man. That's why discipline is so important in this game, and
it is.
And those short-term results. You got to watch out, especially on Twitter and on, and all the platforms. Everybody putting up their last week's record and their last 5 days record. But you never, for some reason, ever see them put up a record that says, I was 0-5 yesterday. You don't see that too often. You'll see a 5-0, So, but and that's what I love about our group, man. We're all, transparent and, listen, I've been at this for, in the social media thing and on Twitter, I've been putting out free plays for 5 years now, at least 4 or 5 days a week. So one thing about it, I definitely, try to be as transparent as possible. And I learned that from, years ago. I learned that from Jimmy and Pete, and, that's the name of the game. And I think that's why Jimmy's so popular, too, because he's transparent. He tells you when he screws up, He tells you when he drops a bunch, and that's the key, right?
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, man. So many scammers out there that that's the key. All right, let's get into some basketball here. So you told me you had a couple of NBA plays. Your year with NBA has been pretty good so far, huh? You've been having all right?
I've been doing, pretty much decent, not spectacular, because you have to understand, a lot of these players don't play every game.
Yeah.
So they don't cover the spread. So I'm more of an inside capper to where I like to pick the quarters and the halves to see where they have the advantages. So I don't like to take full games. I like to get in and I get out. You hear what I'm trying to say? So,
I get you.
I'm looking at this Cavs and Sixers game. This is going to be a very important game. Both of these teams are battling for the third seed in the East. Cavs are playing good right now. They've won 10 out of their last 13 games. But the Sixers are 17-3 in their last 20 at home. So this is going to be a great matchup. And
wow.
I couldn't come to a side because I think both of these teams are capable of winning this game, but I'm going to take a under because I feel there's going to be a lot of defensive play. The Cavs are 8-2 in their last 10 first half and full game under, and the Sixers haven't covered over it for their last 5 games. So I believe it's going to be a heavy defensive game. Shots are going to be put up, but I think a lot of shots will be contested. And I believe that we can catch that under right now. I don't know the number right
I
now though. Let me
I'm looking at 216 and a
216.
half.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. Because the
Yeah.
last time they played, it went under 200. It was only
Okay.
199 as a total, 113.85. So I
Right.
believe that this game is going under again. And I would lean Cavs first half as well because the Sixers are 3-7 ATS in their last 10 in the first half. So
Looks like the Cavs are getting as far as the early money splits. What I'm looking at is the DraftKings splits. Is a consensus of all the DraftKings books, and stuff
mhm.
that I get from VSiN. You know what VSiN is, right?
No, what is that?
VSiN is it's called the Vegas Sports and Entertainment Network. It's like it's you should check it out. VSIN.
Okay.
It's they all they do is talk about it's based on sports betting. It's based on sports betting. Everything's about against the spread. They have all shows and stuff like that. They got publications. It's pretty good, but DraftKings powers it, and I could see these betting splits now. It looks like it's going towards the Cavaliers. I'm looking at 40% of the tickets, 54% of the money on the Cavs. So that's pretty interesting. This is early, it's still early in the day, but the Cavs are getting the money at the +2. And more money seems to be going towards the over, but it seems to be the public. There's a little bit of a discrepancy, yeah. Only I'm seeing right now, only 20% of the tickets on the under, but almost 30% of the cash. Where it's converse, it's different on the on the over. So your underlook it seems to be more of the sharper play so far as the betting splits are concerned. So that's a good thing. 216 and a half. Would you play a first half under, or you would play a full game under?
I will play the first half
Uh
before I
huh.
will play the full game, but I'm confident in both of them. But
Right.
I'm more sure in the first half because of the streak that the Cavs have and the 76ers. They usually tend to pick it up in the second half because they're usually trying to win the game because they're not covering spreads as of late. So they
Right.
have to stay in the game and create, make points. But first half, I believe the Cavs can hold them
Let me move
under
this.
60 points. I believe they
Okay.
can hold the Sixers under 60 points in the first half. I really believe that.
Gotcha. Do you ever play team totals like that?
I do. It just depends on the matchup. Like the Spurs and the Rockets, I always do team total with the opposite team, pretty much. That's just an auto bet. Just
Right.
depends on the team,
I
what they're
got you.
giving up.
I got you. That's an interesting look. Interesting look. What's your other game?
My other game, I was going to do, let me see, what was the other game? Memphis and the Jazz. That's what I was going to do. I'm all on Memphis first half. The Jazz have a horrible road record versus the West. They're
Yeah.
allowing 118 points on the road. And Memphis at home are just monsters. 11-3 at home versus the West. 17-3 straight up in the last 20 at home. And we're going into the All Star break. Memphis is on a losing. They're on a losing streak. They lost one, but they're 3-7 in their last 10. So I believe that they're going to try to get a win going into this All Star break to get some momentum heading into it because they're supposed to be one of the powerhouse teams in the West, and they're not good versus the West. They're more successful with the East this season, but second half of this, after the All Star break, let's see if Memphis can pick it up with some wins in this West to get back in contention of the Western Conference. Because right now they're at the bottom, and I think they need to pick it back up in order to be contention. And John Morant feeling like he said he's not worried about nobody in the West, but I think he needs to retract that statement until proven otherwise.
They haven't
My
played each
opinion.
other too much. They've only played each other a few times. It
Hmm.
seems like they haven't really played each other too much. When is the All Star game? This weekend?
This week, yeah, it's this
Yeah,
weekend.
it's the weekend coming up, right? And then
Hmm.
so now how many games are you into in the is it exactly the halfway point basically is
No, it's usually like
a
20,
little bit more.
under 30. It's
Gotcha.
probably under 30 left in
Uh
the
huh.
season.
Kind of like what hockey does after the All Star break.
Yeah.
What can I look at? Jazz average points for 118.
Hmm.
Uh, Memphis Average points against 113. Interesting. ATS 5-5. They're both 5-5 ATS, and with the over and under the last 10, the Jazz seemed to be 6-4, and the Grizz was 3-7 last 10. Head to head,
At 19, but Memphis at home, Dommy, 19-8-1 ATS in the first half.
Yep. I just seen that. Wow.
I can't ignore that. That's just a number.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. See what else they have.
Get in and get out. Like I said, get in and get out. First half, I'm done. I'm not mad at the full game. I think Memphis could win it, but I'm not going to trust it.
Right.
I'm not going to try to win money in the first half and then my money's gone because they can't cover the spread in the second half. So, nah.
Is there any team that you're really looking at that could really take this? Like a
this game right here?
Are there a few teams that you think that could take the championship? Like, are there a few teams that you're really looking at that are? Is there really a real super dominant team, or are there a couple teams that are, that are in the mix?
I think these trades have shaken up the West because the Suns, nobody was looking at them until Kevin Durant got traded to that team. So he could change everything. Now Denver is still in the West, and like I mentioned, you got other teams like Memphis. The Kings were like 4 in the West, I believe. But now they may digress because you have Suns now. The Lakers, we don't have to worry about them. But,
right.
Oklahoma City, Denver, Minnesota, it's teams that are right there in the pack. But as far as the East, I have the Sixers or the Cavs going to the Eastern Conference. Or if they meet up. I don't know. I don't know if they can meet up. But I have those two teams winning the East. One of those two. For sure. That's just me. But the West, I can't decide now because of how it's been shaken up.
Yeah. It's crazy. And listen, me living in New York, all you've been hearing about lately is when it comes to the NBA is every other word out of their mouth is Kyrie. That's all they talk about, and Durant. Actually, they call him Kyrie, but sports radio is pretty big here. It's pretty big everywhere, but yeah, he definitely was not a favorite over here in New York. He's a weird player, man. A guy like that with so much talent, he's just such a head case. He just, and like I said, I'm not the biggest basketball guy, but you can just tell he's not a good locker room guy. He don't take any blame for anything. It seems like it's never his fault, and I don't like plays like that. That's for sure. There's a lot of players, man, in all these sports. A lot of players are very good. They got the great numbers, they got the great stats, but they don't make their team better sometimes, And I mean, when Kyrie was back, when you talk about the Cavs, right, when him and LeBron hooked up, that's a whole other story. But I don't think that's going to be the same thing now. That's for sure.
No, Luka's too young. He don't have experience. LeBron had already had that experience. Yes. When he went back to Cleveland to play with Kyrie.
Right.
Totally two different scenarios.
Yep, without a doubt. That's it. That's interesting. Should be a good. I like when there's no team running away with it. So
yeah,
it's. And I tell you, like in college basketball, it's the same thing. Now, college basketball, man. This time, I know you play college basketball also. You bet college basketball also. Mm-hmm. This time of year, and I was talking about it. Last week that we got to watch ourselves the next couple of weeks because now's when it gets very volatile. Everybody's jockeying for those conference tournaments. They're jockeying for obviously for March Madness, and you're going to see teams start to. And there's been a couple upsets from Saturday to now. There's been some big upsets. Now, I've been on the wrong end of some of those. One of those games was Purdue losing to Northwestern in Northwestern on Saturday. I'll tell you, Purdue was coasting in that first half. I don't know how they came out in that second half and lost that game. But one of my parlays I just had the money line with that. But that was one of the ones I lost when I was telling you that I parlayed the basketball with the Eagles, and then hedged out. That was one of the games I lost, was that Purdue game on Saturday. And I'll tell you, that's the second time I watched Purdue lose on the road against teams where they lost against Indiana and they lost against Northwestern last week. Both times the place was rocking. the home court advantage really had an effect on Purdue. You could see it. They were out of sync. They did not deal with that kind of crowd noise, and they did not. I mean, they're young guys, so that really affects them more than it would obviously in a NBA or something like that. You got to take that into consideration with college. Same with the football. Crowd means a lot. And Purdue, who I thought might be a team that could take this. I don't think so. They're not. They don't play too well on the road, and they got beat by teams that they should have beat. Even though Indiana, was playing well, now they're a little bit banged up. But I was just something that I noticed that they came out again against a team they should have beat. They should have beat Northwestern. I mean, Northwestern's a good team, but Purdue should have beat them. So that crowd really. But there's a lot of. My point being, there's been a lot of upsets. There was a couple on Sunday, a couple on Monday. There's been, it's a time to watch it, and I've cut down my plays. I'm only going to be taking 2 or 3 plays a day the next couple of weeks. When I usually take more, I'm usually in that 4, 5, 6 plays sometimes. I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to be taking my time and getting ready for these. That's fun, man. I'll tell you one thing about that college. The college tournaments are fun. They really are. The college basketball fun. It'd be great if the football could ever figure out how to do something like that, because it's really a good way of doing it. I love the conference tournaments. I'll be going to at least 1 or 2 games for the Big East. They always do at Madison Square Garden. There's always the Big East tournaments, and they're fun, man. I enjoy going to those, and it's easy for me. Train station's 15 minutes from my house, and the Long Island Railroad goes right under the garden, so you don't even have to go outside.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, just get on the train. The only reason why you got to go out is to smoke, but other than that, you get off the train, we run upstairs, smoke, run back down, and in the old days it didn't matter. Once they stopped people allowing people to smoke cigarettes, that was it. It was back in the day. It was easy. You could just sit on top and smoke, but it's awesome. Yeah, the Madison Square Garden's right there. That's one of the good things about New York. I know everybody hears some bad things. There's a lot of good though too, right? Like everywhere you live, right? Exactly. That's for sure. Where are you? And you are in Houston? You live?
Yeah,
in Houston,
I'm right. I'm on the outskirts. It's called Spring, Texas. It's maybe like 20 minutes out of Houston city limits. Like I'm 30 minutes away from the stadium. Like the Texas, like I am from.
Right, that's what I'm in the suburbs too. I'm 30 miles outside of Manhattan, New York City, and so that's cool. I've been looking at a couple games today. There's a couple games that the lines got me a little bit confused. I haven't been really jumping on these early. I haven't been jumping on these early lines. I'm a little better at, and it's really counter to way a lot of people bet, but I'm really better at reading lines and. I like to see where some of these games are going. I don't like to take every game first line, first thing out, and it just doesn't work for me a lot of times. And listen, I'll go against teams left and right if the line's going against me. That ain't the thing. I just want to see where the lines are going. I mean, it got me a couple of wins on Monday. There was that Miami North Carolina game and opened up at 4, and I thought that number was very close. But I kind of liked Miami, but that 4 number was close. Then they went up to 5. Then it went up to 5.5, and I took Miami, which they ended up winning anyhow. But which happens a lot in college basketball. A lot of these dogs end up winning outright, but it's not like I'm going to play the money line too. But it's just weird how some of these games they just win outright. But for instance, that was one game. Another game was Hofstra. They were minus 12 to start the day against Drexel. A lot of people are jumping on Drexel, and it went down to 9. And then I took Hofstra right before the game at 9. So like I said, sometimes the lines, just because it moves against you or with you, doesn't really matter to me. I just like to see what's going on with it, and exactly. That's one of the things I'm pretty good about. That part is more than picking the team. That a lot of times I'll play a game early and the line just goes against me. It's like bad, and it's like damn. But that's how
I'm not really a line reader. I have to get more familiar and more research with that. I'm more of a capper. If my numbers say take it, and then I line it up with the correlation of how they're capping it, that's how I usually bet. But I need to study the lines and do that more. Because like I say, I've only been doing this maybe 2 years now, Dommy.
Right.
I'm a real,
I
immature in
got
the
you.
game. So
Right.
because I've been more of a casual better of my days. But once somebody
Right.
introduced me into online sports betting, because we only to get a legal book. It's not legal here, so we have to use an illegal book offshore. So
Right.
I don't get the DraftKings. I don't get the other sports books that y'all have access to. So once
Right.
I get to that point, I think I'll be more seasoned, and you can really see my potential of researching, shopping around different lines and things like that. I only can get what I'm available to get, so I really don't pay attention to the line because I'm only having one option or two, maybe. You get what I'm trying to say? So,
Yeah,
but
without a doubt.
I
I mean,
just
that was
I've been
me,
just
without a doubt.
successful just doing what works for me. Pick his cap, pick a game, pick a team, pick a player, whatever it
Right.
is, and just follow them. Follow them and just
Yep.
invest in the bet. That's what I tell people when they ask me, what's the best advice you can tell somebody when they want to start sports betting? I would tell them you have to invest in your bet. You can't bet it, and then if they lose, then you got to jump off. You have to see. Maybe they'll hit it the next game. They may have a 2 game losing streak, but how do you know they're going to come back and have a 3 game winning streak? You don't know that.
Right.
So you have to determine investing in your bet. Now, if this is 3 in a row, then of course, jump off, wait a little bit, do some more research, and maybe you can jump back on that side. But you have to invest in it more than once or twice to get a true outcome of it, is my opinion.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. That's and it's good that you. That's what I like about some of you guys, like you and Cab is the same way. You guys don't mind saying that you're just starting out and you're learning and you're on the road.
Hmm.
And a lot of people are, I mean, especially with all this new betting coming on and on. A lot of new people starting to bet, and which I was surprised about, to be honest with you. I didn't think it was going to change as much. I just figured. I mean, I grew up in New York where there was a booking on every corner, so the betting thing
Yeah,
never really mattered. But just the area
yeah.
I lived in, I mean, New York of all places was one of we only became legal, last year. It's only been a
Hmm.
year that we became. We
Hmm.
were one of the last ones. You would think New York would be one of the first, but I guess
Yeah.
I guess the old boys weren't giving up that chunk. The old mob boys ain't giving up that chunk of
Yeah.
change, so quickly, because that's where that money was made out of. But without a doubt, I mean, and that's a listen. What you're saying is what I do, and mostly in baseball, which is my best sport. But after the first half of the year, when it comes to the second half of the year, I'm down to 5 or 6 teams, and those are the teams that I bet
Hmm.
against or with. It doesn't matter. I'm a big Met fan, but
Yep.
I'll play against them a lot. It's I like because there's so many teams, and if you think about it, if you pick 5 or 6 teams, you end up getting used to most of the teams anyhow. I mean, they play each other so much that
Exactly.
and this
Exactly.
year in baseball is going to be a little bit different because they're not going to play as many division games this year in the schedules as
Mm.
past. They changed it up. You're going to be playing outside your division more than you have been. That's the one big change. And the other big
Okay.
change is the pitch count. They're doing a clock pitches. They're putting a clock up on the pitches. There's going to be I don't know if I think it's 30 seconds maybe, but they're putting a clock up. They don't want they're trying to speed up the game a little bit. They're trying to stop the batters from stepping out of the box and adjusting their
Hmm.
crotch every goddamn pitch, and
Yeah.
taking off the gloves and putting on the gloves and all that nonsense that they do. So they're trying to cut
Gotcha.
that down. So and there's some pitches that's going to affect, with the pitch counts and stuff. But I'm going to be doing some videos on that. I mean, Chris Bassett, for instance, was a Met last year. He's not this year. He's up in Toronto, but
Hmm.
his part of his game plan is he shakes off every time he shakes off 3 or 4 pitches. Every time. He's always shaking off, shaking off. He might be going with the first pitch you said, but it's part of his strategy to keep you guessing.
Hmm.
And they don't like that. They're going to stop that. So it's going to affect guys like him that pitch slower. And so something's going to keep an eye out. It's going to be a little bit crazy at the beginning of the baseball year, but I'm looking forward to it. But
Okay.
anyhow, there's 2 games I'm on today, and both games I don't understand the lines. I only bet one of them, and I didn't bet the other yet. And I have my eye on a couple other teams. But the first game I like is Indiana is at Northwestern. Now I mentioned Northwestern before. They were off that big win on Saturday against Purdue. And sometimes I wouldn't go right back with the team, but I do like Northwestern. It's -1. That's what I bet them at, -110. I bet that one on BetUS. I've been using BetUS and BetOnline the most. Even though they're the offshore, the blinds are so much better than the FanDuels and the DraftKings. And from what I've heard in the past, during baseball season, they have really good lines. Especially BetUS for some reason is known. It's not just because I do a little something with them. It's because I use them, and so anyhow, it's something to keep in mind. They're pretty good with that. But Purdue, lost that game against Northwest, so you would think it would be a big hangover in that game. But when we lost LJ for a minute, he'll be back. What happened in this game? Normally I would think there'd be a big hangover in this game, and I would think that if this game was yesterday maybe or on Sunday, I would think that the hangover from that big win on Saturday at Northwestern would be an issue, but I don't think so. Now it's Wednesday. They've had a few days to get their composure back and not be so riled up over that game. Their home court, they're really improving a lot. Northwestern, they're really trying to make a run. So and they are playing a really good Indiana team, which Indiana team that I've backed on the road a bunch of times. But Indiana seems to be a little bit banged up, and their big guy Race Thompson is a little bit banged up, and he was also actually questionable for tonight. I think he plays, but that team goes through that kid, man. That kid is the heart and soul. They also have a couple other guys. Logan Duncan is out with I think he's sick or something. They had that one big guy Johnson. He's been out for a while, and I just think that Indiana's a little bit banged up, and I think that Northwestern could. I think this game, if it wasn't for that big win against Purdue, I would think Northwestern might have been a little bit. Might have been -3, -3.5, but it's -1, and they're at home, so usually they give you 2 or 3 points for the home court. Not in this game. I think Indiana's getting a little bit too much love that way, and I can see the public jumping on Indiana, but I took Northwestern -1. We'll see what happens. Northwestern is really good with the turnovers. They're good with their offensive rebounds, and that's something I look a lot about with these. And I'm sure in the NBA too, those offensive rebounds. If you got that number over the other team, that's a lot of second chance points. And listen. Northwestern averages. I think it was 5 points on the road, but almost 7 at home off turnovers and off the offensive rebounds. And that could be the game, right? 6 points.
You're right.
So that could be a game. So that's where I was leaning. That was not leaning. That's what I bet. I bet Northwestern -1, -110. And those are the reasons why. The other game that I like is this Alabama-Tennessee game. And again, I don't understand this line move, but I'll be honest with you. Same thing happened yesterday in the Oklahoma game where I didn't think all the sharp money was going towards Oklahoma, and they ended up winning. And I against Texas that was, and I didn't agree with the game, but they were right. They were right. No, that was against Kansas State or something. It was. I forget now. But Alabama's such a better team, and I don't understand why Tennessee is favored. But that's an interesting game, and sometimes though, that's where the points sometimes. See, a change in a line won't make me not will get me off a game, but sometimes it just. You got to stick to what you say. You got to stick to your guns, and
yes, got to be disciplined.
Bama got the better defense. Tennessee hasn't really been playing great lately. I mean, what was that game? Tennessee lost against Missouri, 86-85. They actually gave up that many points to Missouri. But then a week ago, that's why Tennessee is so weird ago. Maybe it was more than a week ago. They had the game. It was 2 Saturdays ago. It was a week from last Saturday. They had the game against Auburn that they won. There wasn't even 90 points scored in the game. I think they scored 46 points and won. I think the final score was 48-46 or something like that. It didn't even hit 90 points. And then the next day, then they go to Missouri and lose to a team that they should have beat. and they gave up all those points, 86-85. It's just, and they were 12.5-point favorites in that game against Missouri, and they ended up losing outright. So that's what worries me. But now Tennessee goes home, and the home crowd could mean something. So that's the game that's a little bit. I'm a little. I want to take Bama. I want to see where these points go. It actually went up. It was -2. Now it's minus. Tennessee was -2. Now it's -3. This game goes to 3.5 or 4. I'll probably jump on Bama. What I do like is Alabama's team total over. I think this game could stay under the 146. And that's where my dilemma was with that game. So that's the one game that I'm keeping my eye on. Is that here's something for college for you. When two top teams face off this year, the favorite has been 9-3 against the spread this year. Over the last 2 years, it's been 18-6, hitting at a 76% rate. With the two teams in the top 10, the favorite has won over the last 2 years, has won this game 76% of the time, which goes against my bet on Alabama. And Oklahoma last night kind of went towards that. Was the two teams. So that's college basketball for you. That's an interesting game. There's a couple interesting games tonight. Another one is Xavier and Marquette. And I love the Big East. I love these teams. But that's a game that, if anything, and what I'm probably going to bet is the over in that game. Let me see if I can find that one. Yeah, the over is 159. But the way I graded this game, at I got into like 162, 164. So that's another game that's. Listen, both those teams, Marquette and Xavier, their offenses are better than their defenses. Marquette second in efficient field goal percentage, first in 2-point percentage. They're hitting the 3 points at a 36% clip as a team, and Xavier is hitting at a 40% clip from the threes as a team, which is second in the nation. Xavier, so. A lot of points could be scored in this game, and 159 is up there, but I kind of like that. Xavier is 5.5-point favorite. If it was 4.5, I'd probably go to Marquette. I'm going to see where this line moves. If it drops down, I'll probably take Marquette. If it goes up, I might take Xavier, but I will be on the over 159 in this game. So. That's how I'm looking at those two games. So, that's what like as the day go on, I'll be putting out some more plays. But, I just wanted to get some plays out early in the morning, get myself in practice for baseball season, where I'll be trying to be out here a couple days a week and putting out some plays and stuff. So, and I enjoy sometimes just not even having the games ready and just. Especially in baseball, where we could go over a couple games and cap them on the fly, and I think people like to see how because a lot of young guys have asked me, but how do you cap? How do you get to that? That pick? So that's something that we'll be working on going forward, and that could be something that we could do, and it helps out a lot of like you say, you've been at it for a couple of years, taking it serious. And listen, a lot of people are on it less time than that, and some on it more. That's why I like the old school, new school combination. I think it works. And that's definitely me and you, old school and new school. I can't get away from it.
But I finally found something that I'm passionate about, that I truly love doing.
It's fun.
And the benefit is the betting, because I tell my wife all the time. She looks at it. This is a niche business. We all know that. It's not legal everywhere. So a lot of people feel like it's still going to the casino, pulling a slot, or playing cards. And I tell people, I don't look at sports betting like that. I look at it as a legitimate job. Yeah, listen, I could talk about the sport. We could put out content, and we could get paid off of that, right? But the betting is the extra incentive that we get from capping the sport, giving you the research and the knowledge from it. So it all coincides together. So it's just a lot of people just need to understand it. But I think, Dommy, once it becomes legal, worldwide, and everybody can go into a bar or a restaurant and get a machine and make a bet at your table while you're eating food. That's what they're going to realize what we're doing right now.
Right.
They're going to realize it. So until that happens, we're steady going to have to just keep fighting, keep scratching, trying to get our ways in, because once it becomes the way it is, it's going to be a beautiful thing. I mean,
without a doubt. The best tip I could give somebody right now is, besides what you said, and I could tell you the one thing that's helped out immensely, and it's sometimes the simple things, man, mean a lot, and that's record keeping. When I started keeping records the right way, when I started, really paying attention of what what I lost, you got to go over the games you lost yesterday. Okay, I won 3 games, pat myself on the back. What about the 2 you lost? Why did you lose those 2? You could have maybe won all 5. That's something, and that's something our friend Nutflush Allen always preached about, going over your losses after, after, and which is key. But the record keeping, man, you got good record keeping. Tell you, what you bet, what bet you made. Did you bet at first 5? Did you bet, a no-win, runs first inning? Did you bet, the team total? Whatever it is, the better record you could keep, the better off you're going to find yourself, because you could see it in black and white. I tell people all the time, if you're having a hard time, you're not having the result you want. If you sent me your legitimate last 50 plays, maybe even 30, but if you sent me your last 50 plays and be truthful about exactly what you did, I guarantee I can help you out and point out some things that you just don't see because it's yourself. Not because I know so much more. I just got the experience, and that's where it's at. Really, I never preach that I know it all. Listen, I spent the money on. You got a lot of younger guys coming up could learn from guys like myself, Big Ragu, guys that have been around for a long time. We spent that money already learning.
Right.
We grew up not having all this information. When I found out that you can get sports betting information off the computer, I was like, I couldn't believe it, man. I couldn't believe it.
I agree. And I'm old school, Dommy. I have notebooks. I have every sport. I have my notebooks, because what if my lights ain't working? What if I can't use the computer? I have to write down, because I really been writing it down registers in your mind, and that way you would always have that memory of what you did because you wrote it down.
I remember the first time I was on a show with Jimmy back in the SBR days, and I came on the show and I had a yellow legal pad with me, and I was looking at the legal pad, and I was besides I was nervous as hell. I was looking at the legal, and I was talking about what I had written down, and so many people were like, "There you go, that's my man." You'd be surprised how many people do that. I remember Steve saying, "There you go, Dommy. That's what I do. I use my legal pads." So
no doubt about it.
We all do it in a different way. But listen, years ago, man, when I started betting, I mean, you didn't have nothing. You had the box scores in the newspaper. You had your sports radio, you had your little different thing, and that's why I guess really most of us were recreational bettors more than anything back then. I would bet the game I'm going to. I bet it's Sunday, so let's bet the game that's on TV, that kind of thing. So. But yeah, there's a lot to it. The record keeping is so big, man, for me, besides discipline. But we're going to put together something to help everybody out with, like I said, a lot of new bettors out there. So, and a lot of guys that could use a little refresher. It's good to look at something and say, Jesus, I forgot all about that. Like, sometimes this game isn't as hard as we think,
It's not.
And it's not always the guy that's working 24/7 at 10 hours a day capping that's gonna. If that was the case, we'd all be rich. If the best numbers always won, if the best, that's always right. There's always luck involved, so it's something you always got to keep in the back of your mind. But anyway, I could talk about that kind of stuff all day. But let's just go over. Let's go over your 2 plays, and we'll get out of here. And I'll post this up, and hopefully, we give out some winners today, and we'll come back at it again.
Okay. Well,
hit me with your plays.
My officials: Memphis first half -4.5, and I'm going to take the 76ers and the Cavs under 216. Those are my two official plays right now.
That's and where could they find you on Twitter? Where else you put out your plays?
At LJ Sports Media, right there in the little box that we got. You can find me right there on Twitter. You can either hit me up, message me. I'll respond. I'll give you my plays. I'll DM them to you. Whatever you want to know, whatever insights you need to have, I will do my best to give it to you because I believe that I don't want to keep the information for myself. I want all of us to cash because we're not going against each other. We're going against these books. So let's get this money from these books and we can all collaborate and make a successful trend of capping these games. So hit me up, follow me, all that.
That's great, man. And that was the premise on how we all really started out when we all got together a bunch of years ago. That was really the premise behind the whole thing is capping together, beating the books and, of course, years go by and sometimes it evolves into a little bit something else, but that is the damn premise. And like you said, we're not against. I want you to win your next 10 bets. The same way you want me to win my next 10 bets. We're not, it's not like I bet you. We want to beat the books, right?
Exactly.
So that's really where it's at, man. That's where it's at. They always have the upper hand, and don't ever forget that. So you always got to keep that in mind. But what I am going to do is I'm going to take this Marquette game, Xavier Marquette over 159, minus 110, and my other play is Northwestern minus 1, minus 110. Those are my two plays that I'm on. I'm going to figure out something with this Alabama-Tennessee game, which I'll put out on my Twitter at Dom541 or at DommyGun. And how I got that name, the DommyGun? That was, I always went under Dom Ricci. And when COVID hit, me and Jimmy started doing the the horse racing, because there was no other sports on, and we started coming on every day. This was before, when Jimmy was in limbo in between SBR and odds.com and all that. I had a StreamYard. We said, let's do it. Who-Bangin. We all had our StreamYard, so we started doing the horse racing. And especially on Saturdays, we started getting a lot of people coming in, man. A couple times we had like 1,000 people. I was like, what the hell? I'd never seen 100. And then all of a sudden, but I was hot one day with with picking horses, and I was fucking around, and I was going, I'm gonna shoot these motherfuckers bookies down all day long. I was going bah, 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 like that. I have my grandson's fucking gun in my hand, and I'm fucking shooting it. Nicky, Fat Fist Nicky, Boston Nick, the man of 1,000 names, he says, that's the name for you, man, DommyGun. And when he said that, all of a sudden Jimmy's like, that's it, DommyGun, you're changing your name. And I'm like, what? And Jimmy's like, you gotta use DommyGun. I'm like, all right, Jim, you're in charge, man. So, and then it went into DommyGun. That's funny, right? It wasn't anything I chose, but it stuck. So anyhow, it's pretty funny, right? I always give Nick the props for that,
That's
because that's funny. All right, man. Let me get out of here. Like I always say, I am good at I'm good at rambling. Sometimes I'm good at gambling, but we're going to get out of here. LJ, it was a pleasure being on camera with you. Pleasure getting to know you over this past year, and we will have more and more things together. And I will see you in the pub chats, and I will see you, in our group team Who-Bangin chats. And thanks for coming on, man. Any last words?
Thank you, sir. No, right. Thank you for coming on, man. And like I said, anytime we can do it again, just let me know.
You got it, brother. All right, man. This is DommyGun Ricci. This is LJ from HTown signing off. You guys have a great day. Thank you.